Here we go, time to unload. I bet you've just been waiting for a big man to say that, haven't you?
Thank you, Nathan, my friend, that I haven't talked to since high school, for finding some wood. Works at a decking place and gets some leftover wood every once in a while, which is great. And this is all going to go. I think this is all cedar. This is all going to go towards some projects. As you can see, I've got some pretty wet cedar here, and I'm going to have to dry it before I can use it. I have to plane it so I can get some of the dirt and the surface off. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to dry it. So I've got some of this 2-inch thick, what ends up being about 9.5 inches wide cedar, as well as about 3 of those. And then I've got a bunch, as you can see, and I haven't even counted them yet, of the about 4 foot long 2x6s of cedar. And as you can see, lots and lots of dirt, lots of water. They've been actually sitting out in the rain on a pallet. That actually helps with the distressed look that I'm looking for, which is helpful. I may or may not finish these all the way down because some of these, the texture is actually part of the work and part of the finished product, which works really well with chalk paint. So we'll see what we do with all these, but I want to show you the drying process. As you can see, I got some little pieces of about an 8-inch board. This is mainly pine, I think, looking at it. So it might actually be rosewood, I'm not sure. But, but I've got them set down so that they're a little taller off the ground. This is actually really important. The reason why you keep scraps around is because you can do little stuff like this with it. So I've got a little bit of air between everything, and that's important. Airflow is the most important thing when drying wood. Okay, so you may ask, why did you put those boards down there in a T shape when they're not nailed to anything, they're not connected to anything, they're just kind of sitting down there? Wouldn't that be a little bit flimsy? The answer to that is actually no. If you're in a situation where you need a really strong foundation, a wood pile, a relationship, significant other, life partner, you always want a strong foundation. And if you don't have something already built, at the very least, you use gravity, friction, and centering to make sure that the foundation stays even if there's a little bit of turbulence. Now, I didn't just put these down on the stack exactly how I got them, exactly how they came. Just like people that are in recovery, that are coming back from financial hardships, you don't just lay them as they are and see if they survive. You want to clean them off. You want to make sure that the dirt isn't masking, areas that are not going to recover, and you make sure that they have a purpose. They have a use, just like these slats here. So the idea here is, as they dry, as they recover from some of the imperfections that they've gone through, there's very little contact points between the bottom and the top pieces of wood. The reason for this is, as they do their thing, as they dry, water obviously has gravity to it and is going to fall over time. Even if it dries out and evaporates, that's great. That's actually better, but you never know. And the grains of all these pieces of wood are going to be a little bit different. So as they fall, they're going to fall into the wood below them. So as little contact surface as you can is the best way to get them completely dry. Now these are going to dry over time, probably several weeks, maybe even a couple months. But by the time they're done, they will be completely usable. And we'll see how this looks as we finish up.
You get to find out just how Sasquatch I am with this full body shot. I'm not fancy. I don't have like a whole bunch of tools right now. Still gonna build those up over time. I've got just an old push broom's head. Works just fine. Doesn't have to be perfect. People aren't perfect. If you think about it, This wood came from a tree. It came from a big body. And from it sprang all these tiny individuals that need a use, that have a life, right? As something part of something bigger. Even if you come from a tree and you splinter off, your use is best used as part of a whole. Some of them aren't as dirty. I mean, this is probably actually usable as is. So they don't always have to be in the rain and then, you know, have some pretty bad damage from it, but they will still support those that need the help. Even this guy, he's split down one side. Still somewhat together, but obviously damaged, waiting to be discarded because it once had a purpose and now doesn't. That's not true. This is a clean cut. It's a pretty intact split, which could be drilled out, doweled, glued back together, maybe even some other form of fastening. But this broken man also has a purpose. In the great project of life, everything has a purpose. You just may not see it right away. And when we're through, we discard that which has troubled us so it won't bother us anymore. If we left what we discarded around us, there's always the possibility we'll pick it back up, that it'll reattach itself. No one wants that. And so after you're done stacking 35 pieces of lumber so it'll dry and become something awesome, I'm sure that the next thing in your head is like, okay, Joe, you're gonna bust something out, how this is a metaphor for Jesus and how we should be Christians, and that this is exactly how things are when you're a Christian. Guess what? I'm not going to do that because I prefer to think that everybody comes to their religion or their belief system or just their needs on their own, for their own reasons, for their own benefits. Religion has been the longest running organization in human history. And it's there for the simple reason that people need to have shelter from the rain, have light in the darkness. And whatever religion or whatever belief system or just whatever friends that support you or community that you can find that will do that, that's up to you. That's your truth. Not for me to say, not for anyone to say. But what I will say is without community, without other humans, because we're very social creatures. We live in our own world. We live in our own confinement, and we can't heal. As much as people want to say that they'd be better off alone, they're better off with people. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I've learned that over time. I'm only 43, so I'm not super old, and I'm not a wise sage, but I hope that helps you. And I hope we can turn this wood into some fucking awesome stuff. We'll see.